Hi, my name is Diego. I'm going to start off by asking you guys a question. How many of us have gone through a divorce before? Maybe some of us. I know I have. I've been divorced for about 2 years or more. It's not easy sometimes, but sometimes it's necessary. But what do we say to somebody that's currently going through that right now? Their mindset, their emotions, what they're going through. Well, according to Jennifer E. Lansford, a student at Duke University, in the United States, between 43% and 50% of first marriages end in divorce, taken from the US Census Bureau. Okay, so that does show that half of the first marriages end in divorce. So what's going on there? Is it the partner? Is it the spouse? Or what is it? Well, that's why we should be attentive to what I'm about to present. And that is the process of getting a divorce should become more difficult. Why is that? Well, because divorce affects in these different ways. One, in relationships, two, in children, and three, in decision making. So let's begin with the first one, the first point, relationships. When you're in a relationship, you tend to be discovering yourself and your significant other, and you're able to see if you guys are compatible to form kids, form a life together, and and build your foundation there. But what if it's turned upside down? Then generally it turns into a toxic relationship. Well, according to Robert E. Lucas, student at Michigan State University, instead, people who eventually divorced were less happy than those who stayed married, even before marriage. So it does show that once this relationship ends in marriage and then ends in divorce, those people that go through that tend to be less happy than the ones that stay married or even before marriage. So something is going on there. So from my personal experience, my relationship was a toxic one. So the reason why I had to get out of that marriage. And surprisingly, my ex wife was the one that submitted the documents of getting the divorce. So it did benefit her and it did benefit me. So now that we see how relationships are affected, let's move on to the next one, children. Children are affected in various ways, whether we want to notice it or not. How? Well, according to Jennifer E. Lansford, student at Duke University, research suggests that children whose parents have divorced have higher levels of externalizing behaviors and internalizing problems, lower academic achievements, and more problems in social relationships than children whose parents have not divorced. Okay, so we do see that children are affected in the way of communication with other people when they have divorced parents compared to the parents that are still married. So it does make sense because in my family, I have many cousins whose parents are my aunts and uncles who are currently divorced, and my cousins don't know how to handle that. And some of them went to the point of even going the wrong path, drugs, alcohol, some even gangs, unfortunately. But some of them were able to change their lives, but it just show how it did impact them. Okay, so that's why it's important to create a solution to eliminate this problem. Now that we understand how divorce affects children, my apologies, in many ways, let's move on to the last point, decision making. Well, divorce affects decision making and it varies by person. Well, according to Eric Good, a student at Hebrew University, results suggest that marriages play a significant role in the career decisions of men. Without the possibility of marrying, men would work less and study less. And if they would work more in the blue collar sector rather than the white collar sector. So it does show that in this case, motivation is lacking when they're divorced or they don't plan to get married. According to Jennifer E. Lansford, student at Duke University, children who experience their adoptive parents' divorce by the age of 12 also have higher levels of behavioral problems and substance abuse than did children who did not experience their adoptive parents' divorce. So it does show that even adoptive children tend to make bad decisions from the results of the decision making from their adoptive parents. So in my relationship, it didn't turn out well because we both made a hasty decision rather than an honest one and get to know each other even more. Okay, so now that in the beginning we're able to explore how relationships are affected by divorce, then we moved on how children are also affected, and then decision making of oneself is also affected by the divorce. So the divorce has been around for a long time. So if we're able to make it difficult, think of how society can improve when it comes to the family. Then from the family, it could go to the education with kids doing better in school, and then businesses with people getting that goal of becoming better and surpassing themselves from what they were compared to somebody who is currently divorced. So, I would like for each of us to think of resources that can help couples facing divorce or thinking of divorce because it would help increase forming relationships, it would make better decision making, and even children would have positive impacts. So, please, I ask all of you to communicate with your representatives to look in making the divorce process more difficult, to avoid those hasty decisions, but also provide resources to help avoid that situations. Please, because we don't want children to go through that and become another number in a divorce rate. Thank you.